Diamond Coach Chelsea Pearson and 4-star Diamond Coach Robb Pearson.
What's up, fam? Guys, I am so excited to be talking with my life and my business partner, Robb, today about building trust and creating a strong team culture. Now, before we get started, I've got some good stuff to share with you. About 50% of you in this room I have yet to personally meet, but I need you to know that I love you and I honor you because we are on this exact same mission together, and you deserve to be here if this is your first leadership. Right. Now, the other 50% of you welcomed the two of us into the culture of coach leadership 5 years ago. And the only reason that we stand here today is because we stand on your shoulders. So thank you for your example and for your generosity. Now, we were really excited to have the topic of building trust because after 6 years of push groups and strategizing and webinars and coming to this event and saying, we are a superstar diamond team, it was trust and it was team culture. Not despite some of the hardest times in our business with our team and over the last 2 years, but because of that we were able to build trust with them and go the distance. So we did some research and we went in the round table. This is like the round table in real life. It's far less scary when we're hanging out in the hallways. And I searched for the term team culture. And what came up were some really generous and incredible creative ideas on how to make retreats better, or how to create more conversation within our Facebook groups, but that's where it stopped. So we turned to our mentors, John Maxwell for leadership, and Danny Silk for relationships, boundaries, connection, and trust. And what we found out was that culture is not about community. Culture is about what a community does and how they do that. And so while the conversations that we have about our coaches who just can't seem to feel empowered or take action or push past and find the grit to actually reach their dreams, while we never mentioned team culture in that problem, we realized that team culture was a huge part of that solution.
John Maxwell said it best. Don't tell them what you're going to do, that's your vision. Do what you're going to do, that's your culture. So everyone here has some sort of goal, something that you're working towards, and that is your vision. And maybe it's not clear, maybe that's something that you're going to work on this weekend. But the culture is how you do it. And we've worked really hard to figure this whole thing out. And the beautiful thing is that culture doesn't have to be complex. In fact, there's a simple formula that we're actually going to teach you today that we used to change our team culture.
What's cool about Rob vouching for this and saying that there's a formula for it, this is the guy that likes advanced placement and multiple business centers and facts and figures, and we actually have a blueprint that we're going to share with you because sometimes culture or momentum is this thing that is an undercurrent that you gotta feel. So if you're not a feeler, don't worry. So let's look at some examples of the difference between vision and culture. And the first example that I thought of was Jeff Bezos. Now, how many of you guys almost Amazon Prime something that you forgot at home to your hotel? Like, this is my guy. His vision is to put the customer first. But the culture that he created to make that happen is this is how we deliver. And the second example is probably the most compelling, necessary, profound vision that I've ever heard cast. And it is as relevant today as it was when it was first spoken. Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. That he couldn't leave his vision there. He had to teach the people that were in this movement with him. This is how we march. And this is how we abstain from violence. And then finally, a vision that we are all part of. It blows my mind that my vision and your vision aligns with Carl's vision of helping people achieve their goals and enjoy healthy, more fulfilling lives. And so in order for us to make that a reality and help our coaches make that a reality, we have to show them this is how we model what we do as coaches, this is how we motivate, and this is how we mentor the people who call us coach. it out for a while, but when we failed forward, Rob's going to share a little bit about that.
So I want you to think back to that goal that you're here for. Maybe you're working towards elite, maybe it's 15-star, top 10, maybe you're working on building your income, or maybe you want to help someone win the Beachbody Challenge. Before we go through this blueprint, I'm going to tell you where we went wrong. We're going to use the example of Superstar. So Chelsea said earlier, every single leadership we've gone to, we've seen someone at Superstar, and we're going to be like, that's us. That's where we want to be. And so the first place that we went is, okay, in order to be a Superstar team, we need 15 admins, so we need to multiply. And so what we did, and I'm sure some of you guys have done this, we went into our back office, we opened our sponsorship drill down, and we started looking at who could we maybe drag along and push and get them to be a admin coach.
We saw the potential, that's what he's saying.
So then when we found those 15 people, we're like, okay, cool, we're going to mentor these guys. We put them in every push group. We got on the phone with them at all hours of the day. Their problems were our problems. And we just exhausted ourselves trying to pull these people along. So then once we knew who we were mentoring, we were motivating them, we were cheering them on. Every time that they did something well, we would celebrate them. And every time that they struggled, we would try to pull them out ourselves. And then we were exhausted. And at the end of the day, I remember Chelsea was like laying on the floor, seeing all these other successful coaches reaching these goals. And we were exhausted. We had nothing left. I saw her work harder than anyone who I've ever met, but we were not close to the goal.
Like many of you guys. I mean, I've had those moments, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to say that when Rob mentioned me laying on the floor crying, trying to figure it out, it's not for a lack of effort. And the good news is this. If you know how to if you have the vision to multiply what you have right now, and you know how to mentor, and you know how to motivate, and you know how to model what it is that we're supposed to be doing as coaches, you have the skill set. We've had the order in the wrong order. So we flipped it upside down, and we went from management mode to the leadership blueprint. And I think that for all of us in this room, for the most part, we know that management doesn't work. But sometimes we miss that red flag mode because we're so busy checking the other gauges of Success Club and Elite. And those metrics are beautiful, but sometimes we don't even realize we've slipped into this place. And so this wasn't intentional. And I got to the point where I just said, you know what? I'm going to do this because I love it. I'm going to do this because this opportunity, this business, it changed my life, these products, I love it. I'm going to do the things that I would do for free, that give me energy, that bring me joy. And what do you know? It was modeling what we do as coaches and as challengers. And then from there, I had my energy. I wasn't being sucked dry. And so I said, if you want to come with me, I'll be over here. I'm going to be doing this. And in love. It was really cool to speak after Danielle because we have such different approaches of the exact same concept. Whatever your personality is, I need a little bit more tough love, I think, with my team. So from there, I was telling them what worked and sharing that with them, motivating them. And then the ones that were showing up, that I was not tagging, that I was not dragging, those were the ones that I began to work with. And from there, from a culture of, hey, I have feelings, I have needs, you have feelings, you have needs. I am responsible for my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my results. So are you. We both pay $15.95. Let's do this thing. The rest is history, and that's honestly how we fell backwards into this business. Rob lost 100 pounds with insanity. I lost 50 pounds with turbo. And we said, hey, like many of you guys, do you want to just press play with us? I'm not responsible for you doing that. And once we cultivate that culture of ownership, we create powerful people. And we stop surrounding ourselves with victims, we become the heroes. And we no longer are rescuers, but people in the trenches alongside them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this leadership blueprint, and we used it, we tested it out. It really, really works. And this is the formula that we use. We apply it to any culture concern, anything that our coaches are doing or not doing, or that we can do better, or that we want more of. What we first start with is modeling it ourselves. And then from our cup being filled and the overflow, we teach them, hey, this is what we're doing, and we motivate. And then the ones who step up and take action because they pay the same coach membership fee that we do, then they get our time. And the rest multiplies.
So we asked about 200 of our diamond leaders, what concerns or what challenges do you face? What do you hear all the time from your coaches? We're going to work through with the leadership model with each of these. So the first thing that we found, the resounding first answer, is my team doesn't want it as bad as I do. Who has said those words themselves? Awesome, and I'm assuming anyone not raising their hand is too tired from dragging their team. So, when you deal with something like this, when we dealt with this, we had to model ourselves. And I think what happens is often when we're not clear about what we want, we're putting out mixed messages, and it gives our team no shot to get on board. So we model, we figure out what we want, and we get super clear. We share it with our coaches, and then every single day we grind and we work towards that vision. So we're modeling. And as Chelsea said, model is like show, and motivate is tell. So we're showing and telling. As we're going through this, we're sharing with our coaches. Show, model is show, motivate is tell.
Because I know sometimes we feel like we do those two things together. Modeling really is taking ownership of it for yourself, and then from there, the vital behaviors today, although they are, well, they changed today, but they're the same thing in a different context. And I think we've fallen in the place where we're doing these things, but they're different today than they were last week and the week before. And so the best way to check ourselves is to make sure that we're showing them and we're telling them what we're learning along the way.
Right, so that's how we motivate. And then again, as Chelsea said, once people start coming out of the woodwork, having interest, not only saying, as Danielle said, not only saying they want it, but actually showing up, that's who we mentor. And then instead of assuming that they want the same thing that we do, we dig in and we ask, are they coaches because they want to be a part of the community? Is it income that they're working towards? What is it that they want? And then instead of just putting them through the same goals that we put everyone through, we align the coaching opportunity with what they want. And the result that we get is we have a team that knows what they want, and we honor that. Equally, our team knows what we want, and they honor that.
And like you guys know, it's just as significant to have a loyal discount coach who's going to be in every single one of your challenge groups bringing the energy, or somebody that just wants to be in your team page if they're going to add value, if they're going to be a contributor and not a consumer. And that was where we found a ton of success. And if any of you have been coaching for longer than 4 or 5 years, what you find is that sometimes those people, because you honored where they are, because you decided to be a good coach as a human versus a good coach on a business activity tracker, when they were in a season of life where they were ready, they trusted you. And we've seen it time and time again, hey, I'm ready to do this, and it's not just lip service. So the next example, my team struggles with balance and feels overwhelmed. And you guys have our suggestions on this slide. I kind of want to go a different direction. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I trust you guys. I trust my success partners. I trust the people that I look up to because of moments like this in this room where they say, yeah, I struggle with balance too. And I'm overwhelmed too. I don't have any less respect for you. I actually feel more empowered because you're expressing that, hey, I'm a human too, and if I did this and felt this way, then you feeling this way indicates maybe you can do it too. And so I always check myself first. Do I struggle with balance? Do I feel overwhelmed? And then from there, they signed up with us as coaches, not just because of how they want to see us work, but also how they want to see us process emotion and learn what books we read and what we personally do to overcome that overwhelm. So model that. And then from there, the people who are taking action, we help them set specific short-term goals and put blinders on for them. Yes, they may want to help 100 people or build a 6-figure business, but let's first start with your foundational steps. Give them permission to focus on the short term and move on from there. And the outcome is that your team honors their priorities and has clarity in the short term.
So the next thing we heard was that my team complains and is discouraged. And here's the reality. We work with people, we're going to hear complaints. People are going to get discouraged, but that doesn't mean that we can't lead by example. So what we found, remembering that it starts with us and our attitude, is that We need to drown out all the negativity. We have to be vocal and positive in the face of challenges. And so every time that there's a struggle, our team knows that we take the opportunity to celebrate those challenges. John Maxwell also said, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And our team knows that because we are super vocal about it. I want to share an example with a coach that actually just happened this week. And on Monday, she's one of my diamonds. She realized that one of her coaches were canceling and she was going to lose her rank. And instead of running in the direction, hiding, and just giving up, she reached out to me and said, hey, this is what's going on. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to lose my rank. And she felt that she could trust me because of the way that we operate and the way that we model. So I asked her these questions, and please, please, please write these down because this will change the way that, this changed the way that we mentor. And
I don't tread my inbox anymore. Great questions. Allows you to confront those life-sucking people because we think that we have to be responsible for how they feel, and we don't. But when you ask a great question like this, everything changes.
So, number one, what are you going to do about that? Now, it's important that we empathize. Obviously, we use feel, felt, found because it's amazing. But we empathize and then we say, what are you going to do about it? Because I know that we've all gotten that same question over and over and over, and we've tried to give a million different pieces of advice. But the key is that our coaches have to figure it out. If they don't figure it out on their own, they're never going to grow and they're never going to change. And that's what the second question is. How can you grow through this? That way, even if it doesn't end up with the outcome that they really want, they can at least be better prepared for next time or grow through it. So our outcome there is that our team is empowered and they seek out solutions.
And on the topic of trust, I want you guys to think about the person that you trust the most. And I'm a crier. But that person is Robb for me. And he's the first and the last relationship where I felt like I didn't have to control myself and I could fully fail and have flaws and he would love me anyway. And I think that's what we're looking for with our coaches. It's not to pretend like there aren't reasons to complain or there aren't opportunities that we're going to be disappointed by or failures that are going to cross our paths, but I want to do life with them. I want to do life with my team. Just like in Insanity, when you're doing your 10th power jump and you look at that person next to you and you say like, this is so hard, oh my gosh. I don't want to fix it for my coaches. I want to be in it with them. And it reminds me of that movie Click with Adam Sandler, where he fast forwards past all the bad moments in his life, and then he reaches the end of it, and he realizes that the things that were the most frustrating were actually the times where he grew closer with the people in his life and he grew the most. And so while we love our coaches in their struggle, we let them be their struggles and we love them through it. Now the fourth concern is that my team is burnt out, disengaged, and unresponsive. And I'll keep it really simple. Very often I'm burnt out and disengaged and unresponsive. Always check myself. And then from there, I use my team page as an opportunity to show my team, just like we do for our prospects, unplugging, the rewards of coaching. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a prospect about the freedom of coaching, and then once they've gotten in, they've seen a burnt-out version of me. So I check myself. And then from there, the people who are taking action and responding, we mentor them. When we cut to the chase, we say, what do you need? Where are you hurting? What is stopping you? What is the cause of this? And then we have an honest, courageous conversation because they're responsible for their stuff and we're responsible for ours.
So the last one that we have is my team doesn't take action. And Melissa McAllister once told us years ago, or asked us this question, if my team does what I did today, would they be successful? We want to take it one step further. If our team did what we showed them today, would they be successful? And we have the opportunity in our Facebook groups to model and show up the way that we are towards our goal every single day. And then our coaches see that we're not just telling them what to do, we're actually doing it with them. And that creates that trust and that creates that culture because they see how we're going about achieving our goals.
And so we'll leave it at this. The first thing that we need to accept is this truth as leaders. We cannot control our team. We cannot control other people. The only person we can control on a good day is ourselves. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing leadership.
Please welcome Executive Director of Coach Development, Arnaud.